change something, if you are in a rut, if you are in a place, if you are in a panic, if you are in, in the muck and mire of the darkest days of the world right now, you do not have to stay there. You do not have to stay there.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Amaryllis.
Welcome to Authentic Conversations. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for joining us. And if you are returning, thank you and welcome back. All right, Susan. Guys, we have a special treat. We loved when we did the laws of the universe. It was sort of like a pattern mixed in with our Thursday night event that we do, which is free on Zoom. So you are all welcome to just reach out to us. We'll send you the link, cameras off, 30 minutes for yourself at 8:30 every Thursday night. And now Susan has a special treat for us. So Susan, tell us what we are in for.
Well, so given the current state of the world and, everybody's frenetic, chaotic, like really we're coming off a pandemic, but are we really? Is there a resurgence? Is there a war? Is there there is so much going on right now. I thought I would revisit for myself and share with you guys the 14 mindfulness trainings. And really what it is it's a Buddhist vision for global spirituality, but it's not religion. It is basic fundamental understanding of who we are innately and how to best live our lives. It's like best practice for living. So it's I don't know. It's hard to, so there's 14 weeks of it. And, each week has, something, a little bit of nectar to spend some time, just kind of sitting with. So this past Thursday, our first week, we talked about openness, and let me backtrack for a second. So I want to read this so that you understand exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, it's okay. But the mindfulness trainings are the very essence of the order of interbeing. So interbeing is like the connectivity, how we're all connected. We're interbeings, we're intertwined or interwoven with one another. We're all born from the same properties. We have our own unique footprints or DNA, but we really are all the same. We're all human beings, having experiences and an existence. So the very essence of the interbeing. The 14 mindfulness trainings are the torch that lights our path, the boat that carries us down the river, the teacher within us guiding us. They allow us to touch the nature of interbeing in everything that is. So see how that we are all connected, and to see that our happiness is not separate from the happiness of others. Interbeing is a reality that can be experienced by each of us in every moment, just recognizing not our differences, but how we're connected. So the 14 mindfulness trainings help us cultivate concentration and insight, which free us from fear and the illusion of being separate from others. And it's so beautiful. So the opening is openness, which makes perfect sense. So we have to be open to the idea of this interconnected world, of this, this whole universal existence, and, that we're here, and that, everyone is here, doing the best they can as a part of the bigger puzzle. We're all, pieces moving, experiencing action in order to create a better whole.
Okay, you got that, guys?
Thoughts, questions, ideas? Openness.
Openness. So there's a lot of beautiful information there. And it all reminds me to the time when we did the law of the universe, oneness, which is
very
right?
similar. Mm-hmm.
Very similar, and again, if you have found this channel, you are searching for something that you already, your teacher in you is guiding you to find this answer, that fact that we are all connected. And that's what this channel is about. We are trying to bring lightness and trying to support each other. And it's a reminder all the time when you think, well, who am I to have a message? We all have a message, even when you're having a small conversation with a stranger that you all of a sudden bump into, and you kind of feel like you have to have this conversation with this person, and the way you treat them for that time, or they treat you, changes your dynamic for the entire day. When someone smiles at you, there's studies about someone smiling or saying you're beautiful, and all of a sudden you kind of perk up. It
Yeah.
so
Words are vibrations, and vibrations make an impact. They change the energy. So let's talk let's talk about openness for a minute. So there's in my world, there's always a trifecta of openness, right? So it really begins with open-mindedness, open-hearted, and open to new experiences, open to a different way of experiencing life, right? So there's the physical open, there's the emotional open, and then there's opening up in our thoughts and in our mind and not being so rigid. So there's really three parts to all of it. Change your mind, change how you feel, change your actions, and then go in any order. Like sometimes we change our action and it changes how we feel, and then we start to think better. Sometimes we change our thoughts, which then changes our actions, which then changes how we feel. So the order of go, it doesn't matter where you begin. So I often say, I teach yoga, right? And I often say that the practice of yoga, the idea of fitness gets people in the door. You want to be physically fit, and you see people who do yoga and there's a glow about them, or there's an appearance, or there's a something inside their skin which is appealing, alluring, and feels desirable. So you go to yoga because you want to look like them, but it's not the physical that creates the transformation. It's the emotional and the mental, but the physical is the allure, right? So people go to yoga to change their physical body. And while they're there, they have an experience that changes their whole entire way of thinking and feeling and living. So it doesn't matter what comes first. Change something. If you are in a rut, if you are in a place, if you are in a panic, if you are in in the muck and mire of the darkest days of the world right now, you do not have to stay there. You do not have to stay there. You can choose to see something different. You can choose to turn something off, turn something else on. You can you can choose to feel a different way about things, or you can choose to walk in a different direction.
you mentioned in our meditation, sorry, Susan, I didn't want to forget what you're talking about, right? Change. And in change, guys, you're going to be in touch with your values. And that's what makes us all different, right? We all come from a different background. We all come from different values. What you value, what you think is hard work to somebody else, the lens that we see things, the way we judge each other is when we start to forget how connected we are.
Yes.
And when you were going through this guided meditation, okay, so for me, if you guys have not tried our meditation, when we mention the word meditation, a lot of people think like, oh my God, I can't silence myself, or I can't sit still, or the way Susan guides these meditations is a way, almost of a guidance more than a meditation. I have done these where I'm actually at work or driving, because she just senses you back to your breath. and being in the moment. And sometimes that's all we need to get back to reconnecting and aligning ourselves to our true selves, to again making the change. The challenge your belief, stay open. So you talk about this, challenge your belief and stay open.
Yes.
Open your thoughts to the idea of others or yourself. Let's talk a little bit about that because we mentioned this a lot also when we did the law of the universe. And we always are having the same conversation, right? Our values, challenge yourself. Okay, so this reminds me, like if I'm having a debate with someone or someone is telling me something, right? And now awareness, which is the key, as you always talk about, I realize that my partner is saying something because he's my mirror and we're always together, right? He sees something and he's like, you're angry at the children or something. And all of a sudden I can see myself now, guys, with time, where my inner child and myself is getting closed off. Like, oh, is he like lecturing me? So now I'm kind of like this Amaryllis was gonna defend herself is coming out. And then I tell myself from the practice, sit in the uncomfortableness and try to listen. Because if the message keeps being repeated and this uncomfortable conversation keeps coming up, you're not changing.
Your part, you're not doing your part. That's right. By listening. And you don't have to defend your actions from prior because that's history. But if you'd like to not continue to have these kinds of dialogues, then you have to listen, be
Yeah.
open to listening. We're often open to freely sharing what we believe others should be doing, but we're very rarely open to our own, noticing.
It's very uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
not the best position to be in, and this is when you start doing the work of finding yourself, because again, it's back to your teaching of your teacher, the inside of you, the answer is with you. Um, you also do the challenge of working with your inner child. You start learning that a lot of things that when you were a kid, now you have to be your own parent and you have to challenge yourself to just listen. This person is not your parent. This person is not the guardian who, or whatever your past is. This is someone now in the moment who's trying to tell you something. And whether you agree to it or not, the challenge is, can you just listen?
Remain open and listen, because here's the thing: if you close down and you get defensive or you automatically start disagreeing in your head, creating a defense, creating coming up with examples of how this is incorrect, right? Then you're just going to have to keep repeating this pattern. You're going to have to keep repeating this conversation. You're, creating discord and discomfort for yourself rather than just sitting through it, sitting with it, being with it, exploring it without attachment to your ego or hurt feelings. That's the hardest part, is to not be attached. And so many of us are attached to the idea of who others think we are, that we forget who we are ourselves.
Mm, yes.
Yeah.
The idea of who we think, others think of us. So no class. You say we are all human, interconnected, interwoven, intertwined together. So how do we change this mindset, Susan? What do you?
Practice, practice, practice. How do we get better at anything? We continue to draw ourselves back into the awareness and say, okay, what's the nectar in this discomfort? What should, what will I choose to listen to this time? What can I hear? What am I ready to hear? It's like, I know I talked about it on Thursday night, like, the caste system, like we devalue ourselves in comparison to others all of the time. We want to be like them, or they have it all together, or, they They know everything, they're smarter, they're more beautiful, they're wealthier, you know, no, they're not. No, they're not. Their circumstances may be different than yours, but they're no different than you. So would you like to be in different circumstances? Is the question you need to ask yourself instead of comparing yourself to them, right? Ask yourself which of your circumstances you would like to pay closer attention to or manage better or, change. Because again, remember, if we change one aspect, whether it's our physical, it sets off the chain of motion. It sets off a chain of motion and usually a spark of emotion. But it sets things in motion. So we change what we're doing, we change how we feel, we change how we think, we change how we think, we change what we're doing, we change how we feel, we change how we feel, we change how we think, we change what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And with this, now in this world that we're living in, it's a different world, right? No one's lived in this world. Just we talk about, don't be in the past, right? Don't You're not the same person you were an hour ago. You're not the same person that you were a year ago. Look at, where have you been? You've been talking about this a lot, Susan. Look at where you are now. It's almost the effect of pushing the rock up the hill, and you don't know how far you've gone because this rock is in front of you and you're not looking. So I'm so excited to go through this transition because there is a lot going on in this world right now. And this is a time where we get to see everyone's life, right? We see what everyone is doing all the time. You go on Instagram, you can know where the person is on vacation, what happened during spring break. And we are human, right? So we sometimes be like, oh, why can't I go on a vacation? Or when am I going to be happy and in love? Or look at that new car they got. I want a car, and it's all of these things that are being fed to us, fed to us. And when we stop the noises and reconnect with ourselves, and that's what Thursday nights are all about. It's this 30 minutes where you take your time. And if you can make it, it's recorded, it's on our YouTube channel. Um, and give yourself that gift of grounding yourself again. Groundingness,
Yeah.
alignment.
Centering, grounding, aligning, it's all so important. Openness, but it all begins with awareness. So everything begins with awareness. And, according to my book, everything begins with your breath. So when you have awareness of your breath, then you can have awareness of anything. When you can focus and concentrate on your breath, then you can focus and concentrate on anything. When you can enliven your body with the breath and energize yourself, then you can energize yourself whenever. And when you can soften and soothe and just find that inner calm with your breath, then you can soften and soothe and find that inner calm anywhere. So, the awareness for me is all about, beginning with your breath and then paying attention, noticing what it is and then making adjustments. I think that was a fairly large theme of Thursday night as well, right? Notice where you're at. Be okay with where you're at. And then fine tune it, make some sort of little tweak or adjustment, right? So if I notice where I'm at and I notice that I'm holding tension in my right shoulder, right? So I notice where I'm at and I notice my right shoulder and it's, creating some, so then I shift my alignment. And I've just found a little bit of relief. So then I become aware of something else. So now I'm no longer focused on the tension in my shoulder because I've released that. So now I'm going to notice this, this little twinge here in my heart. So now I'm going to pay attention to that. I'm just going to notice it, not get mad at it for being there, or upset or frustrated. I'm just going to notice it. And I'll take a few breaths and I'll find some expansion and I'll relax and I'll release into it. And then, maybe I can make some sort of peace with that discomfort. And when I release that discomfort, I can draw my awareness something else. So you can see how we move without even moving. So, whether it's in your physical movement, I'm paying attention to this until I can, be present with that and then decide what adjustment I want to make. And then that'll draw something else into view. And then I'll decide what adjustment I want to make on that. Why are we getting so hung up on everything else that's out there that could potentially, possibly, whatever become a thing? That's not it. That's not it. Where am I at right now? It's all good. It's all good. What
Where
can
are we? With what lens are we looking at?
Yeah, what can I fine tune? How can I bring something else into focus? How can I release what I'm focusing on and focus on whatever feels right for next?
So guys, we are in. If you haven't listened to the meditation, it will be up on our channel, and then you can come back to this and match it up. We'd love to have conversations to sort of make sure that we're understanding what's happening up on Thursday nights, because it's just these tokens of bright energy that comes through. So Susan, what will be next week?
So next week is non-attachment, of course, to views, right? Non-attachment to views. So not, we just segued into it, you know, what are we? So now we have awareness and openness and we're noticing things. And, so now we recognize what we're attaching to and we
Okay.
practice
Oh,
non-attachment. It's perfect.
perfect. I'm super, super excited. Thank you again for your time.
Yes, a pleasure always. And we will catch up soon. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us.